Hello everyone and welcome to Uniting AgeWell's Our Care, Our Future webinar. Thanks for joining us. My name's Raelene Thompson. I'm the Chair of the Uniting AgeWell Board and I'd like to also introduce our CEO, Andrew Kinnersly. So thanks for joining us. Just to let you know, this is our first webinar, so we hope that we don't have any technical hitches, but if we do, please forgive us. So the webinar today is an opportunity for us to look back on what has been an extraordinary period of time, the last probably 12 to 18 months. It's impossible not to mention the pandemic and the strange circumstances we've all found ourselves in. So we thought it was really an important thing to do, to look back and just reflect on the work that's been done by Uniting AgeWell during this period. But it's also about the future, so we hope to look to the future with our new strategic plan and give you some idea of where the organisation is heading. So, to begin, in the spirit of reconciliation, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. And today we meet on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. So, just a few housekeeping issues. Firstly, you'll all be on mute because we don't want crazy feedback, as you can imagine. And also, we'd like to ask you, if you've got questions for us, please use the chat function to lodge your questions, and if you could identify who you are, that would be great as well. We have a moderator here, Rebecca, who is going to try to get as many of those questions to Andrew and I throughout the proceedings. If we can't answer all the questions, or if some of the questions are too technical to spend time on now, we will endeavour to answer them nonetheless in a question and answer document that will be lodged onto the Our Care, Our Future page on our website as soon as possible. Okay, so without further ado then, we'd like to start with a short video looking back on the year past.
We are Uniting AgeWell, and this is the 2021 Year in Review. Dedicated to the care and support of older people across Victoria and Tasmania, our customers are at the heart of everything we do. In 2021, we helped people to stay safe and to live and age well in their own homes and in ours. Through our AgeWell centres, we helped people maintain their independence and well-being and stay connected. While 2020 was a year like no other, 2021 delivered challenges, highlights and opportunities to embrace and shape change. The impact of COVID-19 on our communities over the past 18 months has been extreme, yet our resilience, determination and commitment has shone through. We responded decisively and proactively to the risk and drew on the strength of our leadership at all levels and on our robust clinical governance systems. We mandated influenza and COVID-19 vaccination for our entire workforce, with residents leading the way as we worked towards our 100% vaccination target. Our staff have been the true heroes in keeping our residents, clients and each other safe, with 0 cases of COVID-19 transmission across our residential care and home care services during Victoria's devastating second wave. We owe a debt of gratitude to all staff who, despite the fatigue and anxiety caused by the pandemic, have remained steadfast in their resolve to keep the Uniting AgeWell family safe. Delivering our best in 2021 was underpinned by a focus on the employee experience. A new learning management system and expanded health and wellbeing supports for staff. We maintained our focus on continuous improvement and the delivery of safe, quality care, and enhanced the spiritual and emotional well-being supports available through our chaplains and social workers. We continued our research partnerships to innovate and improve services to deliver better outcomes for our customers now and into the future. Our services continued to grow in both capacity and geographic reach. We strengthened our support to carers from cold backgrounds with tailored day respite services, and helped more people get back on their feet and regain their independence through restorative care. We invested in our neighbourhoods to enable more people to access quality residential care close to where they live, and expanded our footprint to Victoria's Mornington Peninsula when Andrew Care chose to transfer their services to Uniting AgeWell, continuing their legacy for decades to come. There is no doubt the pandemic has taken a toll financially, impacting revenue and expenditure. Yet our balance sheet remains strong. We continue to look to the future with our major capital developments in the pipeline. The recommendations of the Royal Commission into aged care quality and safety will continue to influence and shape the future of aged care. We are alert to the opportunities and risks that this new world will present, and encouraged by our strong foundations and the skill and commitment of our teams. We can all take great pride in what Uniting AgeWell achieved across 2020 and 2021.
What a year it's been. As an organisation, we've achieved so much. We've been challenged beyond belief, yet we've come through those challenges, I think, much stronger, much smarter and much more resilient. I'm filled with pride from the efforts and the loyalty of our staff, our managers, our executive and our board. I look at what we've done throughout the pandemic, and you're all amazing. It's been a difficult experience, but in many ways I think it's been a wonderful experience for our organisations. I've got a few points on reflecting on the last 12 months that I think are important to make. I often get asked, how did we keep staff, clients and residents safe throughout the last 12 or 18 months? I reflect on that, and I think of our strong clinical governance. I think of our loyal, skilled and committed staff. I think about transparency. I think about our culture of understanding and reporting risk, and staff putting up their hands if they felt like there might have been an exposure risk. That's been incredibly important for us. As an organisation, making difficult decisions and making them quickly as a risk may have escalated. I think of consistent and calm leadership at all levels of our organisation, and I think of how important that's been for us. Our second point I'd like to make is around growth. And I think back over the last 5 years, and a number of years ago our board and our executive identified how important it was to grow our organisation. For us to be strong and for us to be sustainable moving forward, we needed to grow, and grow we have. I look at the capital developments, I look at the acquisitions, I look at the service transitions such as Andrew Care, who came on board with Uniting AgeWell in June 2021, and I think of organic growth. I look back over 5 years and I look at a home care service in 2016 that had 500 home care packages. I look at a home care service that had a revenue profile of $20 million. And I look towards 2022 and I see a home care service that will have 3,000 home care packages and more than $100 million of revenue profile. It's 5 times what it was in 2016, which is just extraordinary. My final point on 2021, and we've got lots more to talk about today, is I really wanted to acknowledge our clients, residents and families in terms of what you've all been through over the last 12 to 18 months. It's been incredibly difficult, it's been challenging, it's been frustrating. The patience and support that we've had from you all has been incredibly important in terms of getting to the point that we have to this stage. And I just wanted to say a heartfelt thanks to you all for the positive feedback that we continue to get. We've made a number of difficult decisions throughout the past 2 years, and you've understood that and you've given us strong feedback, so thank you for that. I know Raelene had a couple of extra points to make.
Thanks, Andrew. I've got a reflection about the Royal Commission. So in any other time, we would be talking about nothing but the recommendations of the Royal Commission into aged care. But given the pandemic, in some ways, the Royal Commission has perhaps not had the focus that many of us would have thought it would have when it was commenced. So just to reflect, what does the Royal Commission and the recommendations they've made mean for us at Uniting AgeWell? Well, first of all, I think it's important for us to acknowledge the, really sad and confronting issues that came out through the process of the Royal Commission. And at Uniting AgeWell, we want to acknowledge that and acknowledge the brave people who came forward with their stories. The other thing that I reflect on in the Royal Commission is that whilst there are many challenges, there are some fundamental ways forward that really reflect what Uniting AgeWell has been trying to do for many, many years, which is put people at the centre of everything we do. And that's a genuine statement. If you do that, you can't go far wrong. You might make mistakes along the way, but it won't be because you haven't had an intent to do well and to continually improve. So we welcome the direction of the Royal Commission's recommendations, and there are 148 of them. So there's a lot of work to be done. The Commonwealth Government has responded, and there's a lot of interesting information in what they're proposing to do. But there's also lots of things that are yet to be worked out, and how things will be implemented are still unclear in many ways. What we do know is there will be financial and structural changes to the aged care sector in Australia. And what we want to tell you all is that the board and the executive are focused on this. We're focused on what that will mean for the organisation and for the sector and for the people who use our services. And we are hoping to contribute to how these things develop and are implemented. And we want to be a voice for the people who use aged care services with us and with anyone in the community throughout Australia. So the Royal Commission will continue to shape our future, and we will continue to contribute to that future. And finally, in this section, I also would like to thank a few people. As Andrew has said, thank you to all of the staff. You all make a difference every day. But on behalf of the board, we want to say to you, we're sorry we haven't been able to come and talk to you all over the last 18 months. We just haven't been allowed in, basically. But it's not that we haven't been watching carefully and been informed by the wonderful executive team and by Andrew about the challenges and the effort and commitment that you've all put in to making a difference to the residents, to the home care clients, to all the people who use our services, and also to the families and friends who are so important. So we want to say sincerely thank you. We know that you're weary. We know that the commitment has been huge, but we want to tell you how grateful we are to you and hope that, the next year is going to be a little less burdensome on all of you. So thank you sincerely from everyone at the board, and particularly I wanted to say thank you to Andrew. Andrew, you've been fabulous in guiding us through some troubled waters over the last 18 months, and we couldn't have done it without you.
Thanks, Raelene. Whilst it's been great reflecting on what's happened, it's also important for us to think forward think to the future, and I've reflected on this a little bit, and you look at the challenges of the last 2 years, and UA could have been justifiably very focused wholly and solely on the daily operational risks and challenges. And whilst the pandemic has always been front of mind, our board and executive have been looking to future opportunities and challenges. Through this work, the Uniting AgeWell board has reset its values, its purpose, its vision, and has created our next generation strategic plan, which will guide UA over the coming 5-year period. The following video provides an overview of our vision, purpose and values.
Our Care, Our Future presents Uniting AgeWell's new strategic plan, our blueprint for the future. Our vision. At Uniting AgeWell, we are a national leader, creating thriving and inclusive communities where innovative, high-quality aged care services are delivered with respect and kindness. Our purpose. Uniting AgeWell strives to create and deliver innovative, high-quality and accessible services to people through their ageing journey. In doing this, we address the physical, cognitive, emotional, social and spiritual well-being of those to whom we provide care and support. We build our services from a foundation of research, education, partnership and respect, enabling us to better understand the needs and aspirations of our customers and their families. We celebrate and value the diversity of our communities, staff and volunteers. Our values. Kindness. We are compassionate, fair, generous and considerate. We act with empathy and respect for each other and for those to whom we provide care and support. We care from the heart. Respect. We have due regard for each other, partnering with our customers to achieve their care needs and aspirations. We acknowledge our customers' right to flexibility, choice and control. We listen to and understand different views and opinions. Integrity. We act with honesty and transparency, striving to create a just culture. We acknowledge our stewardship and accountability responsibilities and endeavour to develop and maintain trust. Innovation. We are bold, courageous and adaptable in our pursuit of excellence. We partner with others to enhance the range of services and care that we provide. We encourage new ways of thinking, curiosity and considered risk-taking. We learn from our successes and our mistakes, striving to be the best at what we do. Inclusion. Acknowledging our heritage, we are committed to creating an environment that respects, values and celebrates diversity and equality of opportunity and access. We welcome all.
So that was a quick run through of our new strategic plan, more of that to come. I just wanted to reflect a little bit on the vision and purpose. So as we've said, we want to see the future where there's an accessible service that provides high quality, safe services for everyone who wants to use our company. Now, how do you do that? Well, we want to look at community engagement strategies. We want to look at how we give effect to our spirituality framework. We want to work with others who are on the same journey as us to really build a vision of aged care as part of the community, where neighbourhoods exist, where people who come into our services at one level can seamlessly go to another level if they need to, where families and friends are part of that journey where you're not separated from your community. So all of these things are hard to do, but they're what we want to be able to demonstrate that can be done when you're working in the aged care sector. We want our staff to feel engaged. We want them to want to come to work. So we want to have a workforce that is treasured and valued for the skills and expertise and commitment that they bring. And that's not an easy task, but we are going to strive to succeed. Andrew.
Thanks, Raelene. Let's go back to the values. Let me read out our 5 values once more. Kindness, respect, integrity, innovation, inclusion. I think they're wonderful values. How did we get there? How did we come up with these values? We've been through a process initially with our board directors, and each of our board directors were invited to rank the top 4 values from a list of around 25. This created a short list of 13 values, of which we invited 40 plus managers and staff to also vote and rank their top 4 values. Interestingly, the top 5 from the board were the same top 5 that our staff and managers came up with, so a real consistency there as we work through that process. Our values are incredibly important. They're what we stand for as an organisation, and they're what we stand for as individuals. They guide our behaviours all day, every day. And if we live to these values, UA will be respected, will be leading, will be thriving as an aged care provider for decades to come. That said, we can't get to where we want to be without a clear roadmap. And the following video provides a high-level overview of our strategic priorities.
There are 5 strategic pillars that will bring Uniting AgeWell's vision to life. Strategic Priority 1. Our customers are at the heart of everything we do. We will provide high-quality, safe services with an uncompromising commitment to continuous improvement. We will build a customer-focused culture, introducing education and technologies to enhance our capability to receive and act on customer feedback and deliver services that respect personal choice. Our customers will be supported to meet their needs and achieve their aspirations. And we will partner with them, their families and friends, and other care providers to ensure their needs are understood and their choices respected. Through an integrated service model, our customers will be able to seamlessly transition between services, and we will implement the recommendations of the Aged Care Royal Commission, focusing on enhanced governance and accountability, greater transparency and continuous improvement across all of our services. Strategic Priority 2. We are an employer of choice, with a recognised culture built on a foundation of kindness, respect and integrity. Our staff and volunteers will be skilled, engaged, valued and empowered, feel safe and respected, and actively participate in our continuous improvement. We will support, celebrate and promote the wonderful diversity of our workforce and our customers. Implement a workforce strategy that meets the growing needs of our aged care services, and develop a Uniting AgeWell Training Academy. Our staff will continuously develop their skills, be accountable, and take pride in delivering high-quality results. Strategic Priority 3. We are sustainable. We will enhance our capacity to respond to the changing needs and expectations of our customers and communities. Agile and financially responsible, we will continue to integrate and grow our services and effectively manage strategic and operational risk. Key elements of our strategic services plan will focus on sustainable and targeted growth through capital development and acquisition, by enhancing efficiencies, strengthening our revenue profile, and maintaining a strong balance sheet, we will be financially sustainable. And we will implement an environmental sustainability plan to actively reduce our carbon footprint and build environmental awareness throughout the Uniting AgeWell community. Strategic Priority 4. We are proudly an expression of the Uniting Church. Highly regarded as an organisation that understands, respects and celebrates the diversity of our customers and workforce, we will continue to enable opportunities for the safe expression of spiritual and religious beliefs of the people we care for and employ. We welcome all. Guided by the values and beliefs of the Uniting Church, we operate to the highest standards of ethics, transparency and stewardship. We will build our advocacy capability and continue to advocate on behalf of our customers, staff and the broader aged care community. We will implement and embed our spirituality framework and plan and strengthen local communities by further developing and implementing our community engagement plan. Strategic Priority 5. We are a learning organisation. We will provide evidence-based care. Learn from the experience of our customers, staff, peers, and the best available research to improve the quality of life of our customers. Our research and innovation partnerships will expand our capability and provide as a learning organisation. And our research findings will be translated into our service models. Implementation of a comprehensive digital strategy will transform our digital capability to enhance the experience of our customers, who are at the heart of everything we do.
There's no doubt about it, when we look back over the last 2 years, there's been plenty of challenges. And I've got to say, as a board and as an executive, we're genuinely excited as to where we can take Uniting AgeWell over the coming 5-year period. When we look at our 5 strategic priorities that you've just seen, I can say that there's more than 25 key initiatives that back up those strategic priorities. And if we get these initiatives right, we'll have a fantastic organisation moving forward. We'll have an engaged, loyal and skilled workforce that meets the growing aged care needs of the various communities of which we serve now and those that we serve into the future. We'll have meaningful career paths that help us become an employer of choice. We'll have satisfied residents, clients and families. We'll meet their needs, we'll understand what those needs are and we will meet them. We'll have a growing, sustainable organisation that staff, residents and clients really want to be a part of. And if we get that part of it right, then I think we'll be enormously successful as an organisation as we move forward. It's now time for Raelene and I to take some questions from the floor. So I'll invite Rebecca Ryan, our GM of Comms and Marketing, to coordinate some questions.
Thanks very much, Andrew. We have a question from Paul Warwick.
Raelene, hi. I was referring to the first presentation that talks about us being a national leader. Can you tell us, can you expand on that and what that means to you?
Thanks, Paul, for the question. Yes, we had quite a discussion about what that word meant, national leader. And I guess in the first instance, it's about being an exemplar. We want to be able to show that we strive always to do it the way it should be done, in terms of quality and safety, in terms of choice and flexibility for our residents and our clients. How are we going to do that, I think, is about, we need to be a voice. We probably haven't spoken up much in recent years. Aged care providers generally don't say a lot out in the open, but we think it's time for us to speak and demonstrate that aged care is a sector that the community can have some confidence in. There are providers, such as ourselves, who are striving to be the best that we can be. We want to articulate that, and we want to demonstrate how we do that. We want to work with others who are on a similar journey, so have the same aspirations as us. And ultimately what we want to do is change the conversation that the community has about aged care, so that community throughout Australia can have some confidence in this sector, that there are providers out there who are striving to do well. Thanks.
There's a question from Sue Wood.
Andrew, Andrew, how will Uniting AgeWell tackle the current and predicted workforce shortages affecting the aged care sector?
Thanks, Sue, for the question, and thanks to you, Sue, and the team for everything that you've done over the last 18 months to help us have safe staff levels across Uniting AgeWell through the workforce planning team. When I think about workforce, I think about probably our biggest risk moving forward. There is no doubt about it that we've got a shrinking workforce level across the aged care sector right across the nation. We've got growing demands and we've got a shrinking workforce. That creates a big risk for us as we move forward. What is super important for Uniting AgeWell is culture. Culture is absolutely critical. If we get culture right and we create a safe, respected and valued environment for our staff where that's how they feel, they come to work every day and that's how they feel, then we're a long way towards achieving what we want to achieve. When I think about the Uniting AgeWell family, what does that look like? I think we can promote that more. I think we can promote what it means for Uniting AgeWell to be an employer of choice. Super important that we have strategic partnerships. Those partnerships need to be with universities as training organisations. There's other organisations that are registered as training authorities. We need to partner in a more strategic way with these organisations as we move forward. That's a really critical point, and that's something that's well articulated throughout the strategic plan. One of the things that's really important in the workforce space is our relationship with government and what they are doing to address some of these challenges as we move forward. There's been many recommendations about what needs to happen with regards to enhancing the level of aged care workforce across Australia. I think we're at the start of that journey. I think we've got lots of challenges ahead. One of the things that's important is to recognise that the level of pay that we're able to pay our staff is not high enough. The funding that comes to us doesn't support significant pay increases. That's something that needs to change as we move forward. Part of my role is to work with our peak bodies and with government and try to get that changed as we move forward. I'd love to give all our staff a really significant pay increase because I think they deserve it. I think they do across all aged care providers. That said, if we don't have the funding to support it, we can't do that. So that's something that needs to change as we move forward.
We have a question from
Janet. How will a strategic plan enrich quality of life for people like me who live in residential care?
Thank you, Janet. I'll take that question if that's okay. Thanks so much for the question. It's a really important one, isn't it? Because strategic plans can just be words on paper if we don't make them live. So I think the measure of whether the strategic plan is of any value will be in how people such as yourself and others who live in residential care or indeed receive services in home care or other services experience what we do at UA. So the first thing I would say is we've got a real focus on the individual in this strategic plan, as we did have in our previous plan. So it's building on a long-term aspiration for the organisation to make sure that people are at the centre of what we do. So in order for us to do that, we've got to focus on ensuring we get feedback from people such as yourself and others, so that we know what you're looking for, what you want, what you need. That's very important because you can make assumptions that are wrong. So we've got a strong emphasis on really understanding what the person wants as they seek aged care services or as they live in our homes. The issues around financial sustainability that are inherent in our strategic plan will mean that if we get it right, if we get the efficiencies where we can, then we can devote more of our resources to the amenity and the services and the staffing that will enhance your life in residential aged care. So, you know, how much we can spend on the gardens, how much we can spend on the amenity of the dining room or on the services you need from nursing and personal care workers. So these are all the things that we want our strategic plan to continue to focus on, and the reports that the board will get through the executive and through our CEO will be focused on that. What is the lived experience, and is it being enhanced by the strategies we have put in place? Thanks, Janet, for your question.
We've received quite a number of questions through the email earlier in the week. A lot of them are actually, and some through the chat, a lot of them are related to vaccinations, and perhaps, Andrew, you might like to respond. In terms of why Uniting AgeWell has been so successful in getting so many staff vaccinated against COVID-19, and also to respond to whether Uniting AgeWell agrees with the Victorian State Government's position about allowing unvaccinated visitors into residential aged care.
Thanks, Rebecca. A couple of really important questions there. I'll start with the first one, which is probably the easier one to answer. And that's around why we've been so successful in getting our vaccination rate so high so early. Our foundation to start with has been really strong, and I look at us as an organisation that's got a culture that supports vaccination. I think that's something that's been built up over the last few years, to be honest, and I think it started with our commitment to influenza vaccination. I think that's rolled forward with regards to expectations around COVID-19 vaccination. What's been really important is communication with our staff. What's been really important has been accessibility to vaccination in terms of on-site clinics. What's also been important has been our commitment to education. So some staff have been, hesitant or concerned with regards to the vaccination, and we've worked with those staff around education and encouragement, and we've had an exceptionally strong result as good a result as what we could have hoped for. One of the things that's been really important to us has been our ongoing commitment. I did want to. Today's not about acknowledging individuals, but in this case, I will acknowledge one of our staff members who has been extraordinary through the whole vaccination program, and that's Christy Rebecca, who has been so energetic and so passionate about helping us get to 100% vaccination of our staff. She's been on the phone, she's been communicating with me on a daily basis and with our exec on a daily basis, and I looked through the past 6 months and we wouldn't have got to where we have been without her ongoing commitment. So thank you from the heart to Christy in terms of what she's done. I think it's been important that our board has been really clear with expectation, and through a number of discussions that we had leading through August and September, the UA board agreed to mandate vaccination for COVID-19, not only for residential care staff but for all Uniting AgeWell staff. That's been super important. That's helped us work our way through and manage our way towards 100%. And I can proudly say that as at today, we're sitting at 100% of all staff being fully vaccinated against COVID-19. That's all residential care staff, that's all home care staff, that's all corporate staff. If you work for Uniting AgeWell, you're fully vaccinated. So I'll take this opportunity, if I can, to thank all staff for their commitment to that process. With regards to the second question around allowing unvaccinated people in to visit residential aged care facilities, it's a more complicated question. The state government has a position at the moment through its state directions that it's okay for up to 5 unvaccinated visitors to visit residential care on any given day. We don't support that position. We're confused by that position. We're confused as to why it's not okay for an unvaccinated person to go to the footy, to Myer, to the local cafe, but it is okay to come into a highly vulnerable residential care facility. That concerns us. We've raised those concerns with the state government. We've raised those concerns with the Chief Health Officer. We haven't had a response to this point. We've raised it through the media, and we've raised it through the peak bodies of the aged care sector. We think it's an important matter to be addressed, and we won't let up on that. We feel like it needs to be tightened with regards to the rules as we move forward. So that's something that we will work towards as we move forward. I know from a board perspective that's something that's really important as well in terms of getting clarity as to why there appears to be a really significant inconsistency.
Thank you, Andrew. We have a question from Steve Neal.
Hi, Andrew. I've got a question just about some growth that's happening in the sector at the moment. And we often hear about other organisations transferring services to UA. Why do you think this keeps happening? Why do you think growth is important?
Thanks, Steve. A couple of good questions there. Something that I know the board, myself, the executive, are really proud of over the last few years has been the number of services that have transitioned from other organisations to Uniting AgeWell. This doesn't happen by chance. It doesn't happen just out of the blue. There's a lot of work that goes into it. A lot of discussions, a lot of due diligence. Organisations don't take it lightly when they make a decision to transition their services to another organisation. They look at reputation, they look at culture, they look at the financial strength of an organisation, they look at the governance of the organisation. And that's something I'm really proud of when I look at the number of services that have come across it. They've looked at all those things and they've chosen to transition their services to Uniting AgeWell. We've had a number of city councils that have made that decision with regards to CHSP services and home care package services. We've had Andrew Care and their board decide to transition services to Uniting AgeWell in the last financial year. We've had many other examples of similar decisions that have been made, and that's something I get really excited about in terms of us being seen as a worthy provider to transition their services to, because we're talking about people, we're talking about clients, we're talking about residents, we're talking about staff, and the impacts are significant. If they get that wrong, they are significant. And what I'm proud about is that the transitions have gone well. We are good in that space. I'd like to acknowledge Fonda Vukalatis, Deputy CEO, who has exec carriage of home care services. We've transitioned a lot of services in the last 5 years, and he's been central to that, as have the rest of the home care team. We do that well, and because we do that well, the health department trusts us as a provider to transition services to as well. So we're seen as a preferred provider. We're dealing with issues that aren't for speaking to today, but that'll come out in the coming weeks, where there are more things unfolding with regards to services transitioning, and I think that's an important part of our growth strategy as we move forward. Why is it good? Why is growth good? I touched on it earlier in the presentation with regards to what we need to be a stronger organisation and to be sustainable, we do need to grow. We're not there yet, but we're well on the way. We've doubled in size over the last 5 years. I'd like to see us double again over the next 5 years, if not sooner. And what that does is it gives us a wonderful opportunity to tap into the things that we really want to do, the research and innovation, some of the additional things around financial sustainability that it will help with as we want to invest in our facilities, as we want to redevelop sites. All those things are dependent on, I think, on a level of growth, and that's something that we've been committed to in terms of sustainable growth, not growing for the sake of it, but growing in a way that is sustainable. That means that our quality of services continues to be high, but we continue to grow and push forward along that line.
I'm going to paraphrase a question from the live chat that says, around the beginning of the presentation, we talked about aged care seeing some structural changes. And the question is, how will this look, what will this look like in our service delivery, and will this have an impact on staffing?
I'll take that one, Raelene. Look, I think in terms of, I look at structural change throughout the aged care sector, if I'm understanding the question correctly. Through the Royal Commission, staffing levels has been seen as a really important issue when we look at the level of staff per resident and the level of staff across clients in home care. That is something that needs to be addressed and has been addressed through the Royal Commission. What is important is that the funding comes across with that. We would all like to have higher levels of staff across our services, and I think already a number of providers, including Uniting AgeWell, have made decisions to increase staffing, and I think we've seen that consistently over the last 3 or 4 years within our organisation. So that's something that we've continued to work through. Again, the challenge will be getting staff, and I'll go back to the earlier question that Sue Wood put to me in terms of staff shortages in the sector. That's something that is a really significant challenge and something that we'll continue to work through.
We've received a question with respect to, I guess, the buzzwords that you often hear in aged care around consumer-directed care and similar kinds of concepts. And I guess the question relates to, what does it really mean at Uniting AgeWell to live and age well, and how does living in a neighbourhood or that neighbourhood concept contribute to that? Perhaps Raelene, you might like to respond to that.
Yeah, thanks, Rebecca. It reflects what I said earlier, that words on a piece of paper don't mean much unless you can put them into effect. I think the journey we're on is to recognise that every person's experience as they age is their own. There's no one way to do this. And over many, many decades, our funding and structural arrangements have sort of pushed us along to make it one way or the other, when in fact what we want to do is say, what's your aspiration as you age, based on your needs and your interests and your family's situation and where you live and how you've lived in your community, and how does that direct the care that you receive. So consumer-directed care, but easier said than done. So first of all, the funding has to allow us to do that. And we've done a couple of trials over the last few years on consumer-directed care within residential care to understand whether that's possible in the current structural arrangements. And the answer, I think, is yes, but it's not without some challenges. So what it means is that we listen to the person and what they want from us, and we endeavour to provide that within the funding and workforce that we have. And if we can't provide it, then what do we tell others that we need? Others being government, or what do we look at ourselves about how we can restructure our own services? And this is a continual discussion that we have. And we want to have ideas from all of you as well, because you know about it probably more than we do. So I think the challenge will be always to never assume we've got it right and to continue to listen to what people want.
So another question has come through, and this is probably for Andrew. The pandemic has obviously impacted heavily on Uniting AgeWell's finances. Will this impact on future opportunities?
It's a good question. The pandemic it's been extraordinary, the impact it's had across so many things. Our financial performance has certainly taken a hit over the last 12 or 18 months. I think most organisations, certainly healthcare organisations, would be in the same boat. Our expenses at times have been extraordinarily high. Our focus on additional staff, on infection control, on personal protective equipment, and everything that goes with it in terms of impacts on occupancy in residential care and other things. It's all added up to be a significant hit for our organisation. That said, we've come into this period with an exceptionally strong balance sheet, and our fundamentals as an organisation, as a business, I think are really strong. And when I look at our balance sheet, its strength gives us an opportunity to navigate the current challenges, but also to look to the future with regards to opportunities, with regards to acquisitions that might come up as potential opportunities. I know that there's a number of organisations, particularly smaller organisations, that didn't go into the pandemic in a strong financial position, and they won't survive the coming 12-month period and are looking for exit strategies. That's where I think the opportunities lie for organisations like Uniting AgeWell, and we're seeing that happen, on a weekly basis. We're being approached about opportunities. Yes, it's been difficult, but our financial strength through the balance sheet means that we can have a serious look at these opportunities as they present. I look back over the last 12 months, and I look at the Andrew Kerr board's decision to transition to Uniting AgeWell. They weren't in a position where they could continue to operate because their balance sheet wasn't in a position where they could continue to develop the site, and they could continue to wear what was an operating deficit, even if that was a short-term operating deficit. So that's been I guess, an advantage for Uniting AgeWell, is that we're well placed with regards to our liquidity. Our cash and investments is particularly strong, and we can continue to invest not only in our own sites but also potential other opportunities as we move forward. And that's something for me that I think will continue to strengthen our organisation.
We have a question from Daisy Zhao.
Hi, Andrew and Raelene. I have a question for Andrew. You often speak of diversity and inclusion, and why is this so important to you?
Thanks, Daisy. Again, a great question. Diversity, when I think of it at Uniting AgeWell, it just fills me with pride. And I know our board and executive feel the same way. We are so diverse. Go to any of our services across Melbourne, across Tasmania, and we see great diversity through our staff, through our clients, through our residents. And my sense is that all people feel welcome at Uniting AgeWell, irrespective of their heritage, their background, their sexuality. And for me, that's something that I think gives us, something that is a point of difference. I know people feel safe at Uniting AgeWell. It's something I'm really proud of, that our culture is so strong. I think it's something that we can promote more, Daisy, as we move forward. I think it's something that is such an important element of what we do. When I look at the feedback that I get from staff, residents and clients, that they note this is a really important part of what we do. I'm really proud that we've chosen inclusion as one of our 5 core values moving forward. That's how important we see diversity and inclusion for our organisation. I remember being part of a diversity luncheon that was put on at Stratton going back a couple of years now. We haven't been able to do it since because of the pandemic, but on that occasion we had I reckon 12 or more food stalls that were put up, and they were hosted by staff from a range of different countries in terms of their own heritage and their own background, and they all brought homemade cooking from their own countries, and we all enjoyed it, and the residents enjoyed it, and the staff enjoyed it. But what I enjoyed most was how proud the staff were of their culture and of their heritage, and for me that was a beautiful thing and a really important thing in terms of what we stand for as an organisation.
Another question has come through the chat from a number of sources, and it's to do with the challenges that residents in particular have felt, and our home care clients, around the isolation and restrictions caused by the pandemic, and how we might propose as an organisation, or what we're doing, to support the recovery of the residents' mental, spiritual and emotional well-being.
Sure.
I'll go again.
Yeah.
Look, so important. As I touched on earlier, Rebecca, the challenges for all have been extraordinary. I would suggest the isolation of the pandemic, if I look at society, all of our families, all of our relationships, our staff, our clients, our residents, their families, have been profoundly impacted by so many things. Isolation is one of those. The impact on mental health has been really significant as well. We need to make sure we do everything we possibly can to understand the ongoing impacts of what people have been through, what we can do to help families connect. There's been some big barriers, particularly in Victoria, given the extended lockdowns. And yes, we've done some amazing things through technology to help families connect, residents connect with their families, clients connect with their families and friends, and that's been really important, and I'm proud of our efforts to support that. But there's nothing like, I think, face-to-face contact, and that's something that we really need to make sure we provide every opportunity we can as we move forward. Victoria is opening up. We've got high vaccination rates across the community in both Victoria and Tasmania. I think we're entering a situation where we'll have more confidence with regards to opening up our homes to events and to more and more visitation hours and everything that goes with it. I think that those things are really important. We are looking at investment and adding additional resources around mental health, which I think is really important in terms of the services that we provide, and I think that's an area that's been underdone in the aged care sector for too long, and that's something that we're having a really serious look at as we move forward. Our development of our spiritual care framework and plan through the great work of Reverend Claire Brockett and the UA Mission Committee over the past 12 or 18 months has been really important as well in terms of understanding some of the challenges with regards to helping people with their mental health, helping people with regards to their spiritual well-being. I think that's super important as we move forward.
Well, we've almost finished the time for Q&A, but there is one final question that we have from Audette Grunwald. Be having some technical difficulties, so it has come through on the chat as well, so I'll paraphrase for Audette. She wants to know, in reflecting on the last 18 months, what makes you the most proud?
Thanks, Rebecca, and thanks, Audette, and hello to all our friends in Tasmania. It's an easy question for me, and I often reflect on it. For me, what makes me most proud is what our staff and what our managers have done over the past 18 months. It's been extraordinary, their commitment to providing high quality care, their commitment to helping families stay connected, their commitment to infection control. What we went through last year in terms of the second wave in Melbourne was extraordinarily frightening for all. If you worked in aged care, I don't think there was any scarier place in terms of what we were seeing in the media, and our staff kept turning up and were so committed to everything that we do. What I'm proud of is what our staff have done. What I'm super proud of is the development personally of our staff, and in particular our managers. And I often say to the board, some of our managers are relatively young in their management careers. For some of them, this is their first senior role in an organisation, and the challenges that have been thrown at those staff has just been extraordinary. I was talking to 2 or 3 of those managers only a couple of days ago out at Strathdown, where we've had some difficult challenges recently. And these people, these staff, they just keep putting their hand up. And for me, you know, it brings a tear to the eye when you talk to them, to their experience, and you talk to them about their commitment to their residents, to their clients, to the families. They are doing everything they possibly can, and they're becoming stronger. And to see that development, to see our staff and our managers come through a really challenging time and come through that as stronger people and better managers, I think is something they should be really proud of, and I'm certainly enormously proud of. And I think it sets us up incredibly well for the future as we look to where we want to take our organisation, because our leaders that have been through what they've been through will be incredibly strong leaders going forward.
So thank you, Andrew. There's only one thing left to do, which is to finish up. We've got a few people to thank, most importantly Rebecca and her marketing and comms team, who've done a lot of work to bring this webinar to life, and also the Synod IT team. Thank you so much for your work. We really appreciate it. As I said at the beginning, this is the first webinar we've done this way, and we hope it won't be the last. We hope we'll get some feedback from all of you about whether it was useful, how we could do it differently into the future, if there's something else you'd like to talk about or hear about. We're very open to that, and the directors of the board were very keen to connect in some way with all of you, most particularly our residents and clients, their families and friends, and of course our wonderful staff, because we feel very strongly we haven't been able to get out and about in the last 18 months. We haven't been able to visit, and as directors of this company, we understand our accountability and responsibility to listen to people who are actually in receipt of our services. So please, if you've got suggestions, we'll be very happy to receive them. And really, that's all we have to say. So just thank you, Andrew. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.